You're listening to Unmuted with Papamutes. You're listening to Unmuted with Papamutes.
Welcome to Papamutes, everybody. Today, my guest is Linda Coussement. She's an author. We'll be talking about her books. She's a photographer, a world traveler. She is in business consulting, corporate business consulting, and more importantly, she's coming to us all the way from Amsterdam. Linda, welcome to Papamutes.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
So, how is the weather in Amsterdam today?
Um, it's iffy. It's been raining a lot this winter, and it's not over. So there was a little bit of blue today, but there's a lot of gray in there as well. Though March and April tend to be very iffy. Like we could have a surprise hailstorm or snowstorm or something even as far as in April. But generally, yeah, the birds are starting to sing again and the leaves are budding and the whole process of awakening is
Oh,
happening in
awesome,
nature.
awesome. So, before we get into the books, etc., just a little background. Were you born in Amsterdam?
I was born in a place called Ridderkerk, which I'm not going to ask you to pronounce. That's which is close to Rotterdam, and then I grew up close to Utrecht, which is in the center of the Netherlands. I studied in Maastricht, and then I moved back up here.
Awesome. Any as far as parents or siblings? I mean, obviously you had parents, but siblings.
I have a brother who lives in Baja, California, in Mexico, with his
Okay.
family, and that's it. So and he has the kids, so that's it's they're happy that they're there, but I mean my parents and I are sort of like, oh, why did you go all the way there? But we do get to visit, which is really nice because that means we do get to spend a lot of extra quality time while
And you're
being
used to
there.
traveling, that's for sure. So,
Yes,
in your
yes.
bio, I'm just going to read it because it's easier. Um, I had health, the house, the car, the career I enjoyed, the relationships, the fun. I had everything, and yet there was no denying an existential black hole in my soul. When I was reading that, uh, did you feel at that moment in your life that you were depressed?
That's hard to say. I've had various moments in life where I was depressed. Some I did recognize, others I didn't. Some I recognized and I did something about it. Some I did recognize and I just kept going. So that's sort of
Hmm.
hard to say. Um, so the moment of realization was when I was in a relationship, and I remember I was lying in bed and we were going on holidays the next day. And I distinctly remember I'm not happy with going on holidays. I don't even feel a spark of joy going there, and I should be. And that was basically the first trigger of like, oh, wait a second, that can't be good. What's happening here? So what happened then was me then paying attention to what else am I not feeling? And I then realized I'm not feeling anything. So I can't really say that was depression because I mean when you're depressed you're still feeling something. It's not great what you're feeling, but you're feeling something. But at that moment I was just empty, hollow. There was nothing there. No joy, no pain, no
Hmm.
nothing.
So, what was not
Right.
working
Yeah.
with all that good stuff going on?
What I realized was that yes, there was good stuff going on, but it wasn't my good stuff.
Mm.
So, yeah, the job, the house, the relationship, the cats, the whole thing. It it was what I was always taught, not specifically, but because society is built this way, and because humanity is built this way, we are taught like, yeah, that is what you want. And all my friends were doing the same things, and I'd always had the examples of people in my family and my neighbors, and everyone went through that route. Yeah, you have the job and the house and the kids and everything. And I realized then, like, oh, wait, but that's not me. I was just living a life because that was how you were supposed to live that life.
Hmm.
but it wasn't for me. So I mean, to say I got rid of the relationship is too big and unfair to the guy, because he was still the best person I've ever met.
Hmm.
But yeah, that relationship wasn't working for me. That the city I was living in wasn't working for me. The uh, the job I was working in wasn't working for me, and I had no idea what would work for me. But I figured, let's at least get unstuck from these places and then move forward and see if that does work.
So you were in love, but it wasn't working in a sense.
It was love, but it wasn't in love.
Got it. Got it. Okay. So tell us about your books. There's two of them. Correct me if I'm wrong. First one, Contrast. How did that come
Yes.
about? What's it about, etc.?
Those are two big questions.
Hmm.
How did it come about was the moment that I started to figure out what was working for me and what I wanted to do was also when I started to feel more. And it turns out I'm very sensitive. I'm hyper empathic actually. Um, I started to see more. I started to observe more. I started to experience more, and the more I did, the more I realized, like, how much pain there is in the world, how much ugliness there is. And if you're sensitive like I am, and at that moment I didn't really know how to handle it, and I just felt the pain and the suffering in the world. But I could also see and feel all the beauty and all the love and all the amazing things in the world. And between those two contrasts, I just couldn't find my place. And it was something that was just very frustrating and exhausting, because in my logical mind, it doesn't make sense. Like, how can there be something as beautiful as a newborn baby and then something as awful as war and genocide and all that? How can those two exist? And my maybe naive frustration lies in the fact that, why can't we just all get along?
That would be
You know,
nice.
why
That would be
why
nice.
does
Yeah.
this have to be? Yeah, so there was a lot of frustration around that. I still can't understand it. I mean, I understand humanities, I understand psychology, just in my heart, in my soul. I mean, it's hard enough to be a human. Why add all this unnecessary suffering to it? Anyway, so I was going through that mill and trying to figure out, like, okay, how am I gonna make something out of this? Because I did feel in my heart like, okay, I need to say something, or I need to do something, or create something, and I just couldn't really find my way. And I've tried various different avenues. None of them really took off. And then the idea for the novel just hit me. I was, which is another story, on a trip throughout Europe, and I was fortunate enough to spend some time on a Greek island called Lesbos. And there was a pool there that had a sunset view, and it was amazing. And I would swim my daily laps there. And then during those laps, the idea just hit me like lightning. Yes, you have to write this novel, and it is about a garden. And the garden, if you look at it from a bird's eye perspective, it is basically a yin yang sign. But on the one hand, the circle is made of concrete. In the other garden, it's made of wildflowers. There are two neighbors, and there has to be a ghost in there somewhere. And that's still basically what the story is, or what the setting is, at least. And when I started writing it, the ghost took over. He just ran away from me, like it was his story and he wanted it to be written.